Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to the fourth BCH Developers Meeting of 2019. I am your host, David R. Allen, and today we are going to address the goal of the meeting, which is to finalize the items for inclusion in the May 2019 upgrade and begin preparations for the deployment of the upgrade. I want to mention that we will, I'll go over the entire contents of the agenda after we do our introduction. So without any further ado, on my top left, Mr. Mark Lundeberg.
Hi, I'm Mark Lundeberg. I'm a BCH developer. I worked on a simple ledger protocol before, and right now I've been helping develop the Schnorr signatures for Bitcoin Cash for the May upgrade.
Excellent, thank you, Mark. Moving across my screen to Antony Zegers, known as Mandirian.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Don't have much more to add. Yeah, I'm known as Mangarian online, and I just help with all kinds of Bitcoin Cash stuff where I can help.
Thank you, Antony. Matias Garcia, Matias, sorry, got it wrong, from BitPay.
No problem. I work for BitPay, and I mainly work for the wallet and the backend of the wallet and the block explorer. That's it.
Thank you, Matias. Jason B. Cox.
Hi, I'm Jason, a software engineer contributing to Bitcoin ABC.
Thank you, Jason. And Amaury Séchet.
I'm Amaury, I'm the lead dev of Bitcoin ABC.
Okay. And on my bottom of my screen, Andrea Suisani.
Hi, everybody. Bitcoin Unlimited developers.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Andrea. Glad to hear you here. And also known as Sick Pig. I hope I'm not outing you with that. Okay, good. Moving on to our agenda, we've talked about the goal being to finalize the inclusion for the May 19 upgrade and to begin the preparations to deploy the upgrade. So I'm going to just quickly go over the agenda items in advance, and then we'll go into them in detail during the meat part of the meeting. Item number 1 on the agenda will be to discuss the May upgrade items, and Schnorr signatures and Segwit recovery will be ready for the upgrade, while other items are not ready this time around. There'll be a report on Schnorr and Segwit recovery from people working on them to let people know any information about them that may be of interest, and confirmation that other items such as NullFail, minimal data push, and amendment of the 100 byte transaction size limit will not be ready for this upgrade. Item number 2 will be discussed is lessons learned, areas of improvement. At this phase of the upgrade, preparation draws to a close. It is a natural time to have a look at how things went and think about how we can improve for next time. This is an opportunity for participants to share their impressions of how the process is going so far and ideas for improving in the future. Item number 3 on the agenda will be testing for the upgrade. There's actually quite a bit of detail on this, and I'm going to leave that to that section of the discussion. So just before we start, I want to make the attendees aware that they can, in fact, use the Q&A device on Zoom to send any of their questions at any point during the meeting, and those questions will be answered after we have gone through the 3 main agenda items. So we'll start with the first one, discussion of the May upgrade items. Can I, who do I call upon to start this? Raise your hand. Hey, Jason, thank you.
Okay, so there was a number of items that we had looked at over the last few months that were in consideration for going into the May hard fork. There was null dummy, some other malfixes. We were looking at a Segwit recovery method. Schnorr signatures was really exciting, and we weren't really sure if it was going to make it. Like, these sorts of items were things that made people excited about improving on Bitcoin Cash. So far, it looks like only a couple of them are going to make it. We'll we'll talk more about that later in detail. But it looks like Schnorr, Amaury, maybe you can clarify on that one, but that one's actually looking pretty good so far. It's gone through a lot of code review the last couple of weeks, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. There's a Segwit recovery, which I believe is also on the table, but null dummy and the other malfixes didn't get quite as much attention as we had hoped, so that one's probably not going to make it.
Thanks, Jason. Amaury?
Yeah, I don't know what there is to add. It was a pretty good summary.
Well, so for Schnorr, do you think it's going to make it? Is there any other items that we have yet to tackle? Because we only have about one more day until our code freeze.
Yeah. I don't think there are going to be any more items, but Schnorr, there is like one patch to land to make it work. It's been through several rounds of review already, so we should land that like soon after the meeting, I assume.
All right, thank you, Amaury. Any questions for Jason and Amaury regarding the Schnorr and Segwit recovery? Anybody want to speak to it? Mark, I'm pretty sure you've been working on this.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk a little bit about the Segwit recovery, because I think last meeting this didn't really, this sort of came up and it didn't really get explained in detail. Just so everybody's on the same page, there's a spec now up at the Bitcoin Cash org repository. And the basic idea of the Segwit recovery is you just look and you see if it's spending a paid to script hash coin and it has a certain redeem script of a certain form. That's the Segwit like witness program type. And you can see the details of that. It's quite simple to identify, so it's not tricky. And basically, yeah, the idea is that these scripts will be exempted from the clean stack rule, and they'll be recoverable again, like they were before November. But the idea is to still keep them as non-standard, so you'll still need to get a miner's help to recover the coins. And the reason for that is if we don't do that, then people will just be able to start stealing these coins using at any time, just any wallet user can do that. So hopefully we'll get more recovery if we leave it to the miners. That's the idea.
Thanks, Mark. Is there a bit of an update on who was providing a lot of the information on this Segwit recovery and who did some of the work? Oh
yeah, so this guy Florian, he said I could mention his name. So he came up to Bitcoin ABC with a bunch of patches, and he knew that Bitcoin ABC has an early freeze date. So he worked really hard on getting these patches in. And I think that's probably a great model of if you want to get something done, you can look at what he was doing.
Okay. So in other words, a proof of work.
Yeah. And yeah, unfortunately he can't be here today. But yeah, it was, I was sort of helping out with that a little bit, and that was quite nice. And I think soon we'll be helping get Bitcoin Unlimited, BCHD, blah, 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 all the other node implementations, making sure they're synced. And yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Any questions for Mark about those particular items? No. Moving on, then we'll talk about the confirmation about other items such as NullFail, minimal data push, and amendment to the 100 byte transaction size limit, and why they're not ready for this upgrade.
I could talk for the transaction size limit. It's not ready because I didn't do the work, so that's the main reason. Yeah, I intended to, and I even promised to work on it, but sometimes life put in between you and what you're able to do. So that's it. That's no more than this to justify the fact that it's not ready.
Thank you, Andrea, for being right up front about what happened, and I guess we'll be looking for those things down the road for another upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you again. Any questions for Andrea? Okay. Nope. Oh, I thought I heard somebody say something. Okay, we'll move on to, oh, if there's anything else on the upgrade items, now's the time to bring them up. But if there isn't, we'll move on to item number 2, which of course is lessons learned and areas of improvement.
I guess just to kind of wrap up on the upgrade items, I just wanted to reiterate kind of about our release timeline, why it is the way it is. So just to give the people watching the stream an overview, there's a very important reason why we have such a long release timeline for hard fork upgrades. In order to write good software, engineer good software, we need to have a very clear timeline told to everyone in the space so that they're aware well in advance. And we've been telling people this for 6-8 months now. We have our release go out about 3 months or so before the hard fork is scheduled. This gives us enough time to develop the features, test them, put them in the code, and then continue to do testing on testnet. It gives exchanges and miners plenty of time to update their software so that everyone is ready. Coordinating this kind of change across an entire ecosystem it's not only challenging, but it's expensive in terms of manpower and like the amount of attention that it requires. So, and it's also not normal because we put out updates all the time. Like we do releases now on a 2-week cadence. These tend to be minor bug fixes and whatever, but when it comes to a major upgrade that the majority of your participants in the ecosystem need to upgrade to, it becomes very, very important that everyone is on the same train. So in light of that, I just want to point out like this 3-month in advance code freeze date is super, super important, not only to us, but to everyone in the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem, because this is kind of what businesses are expecting. But yeah, we'll be sticking to this in the future, and we'll be always trying to communicate it out as early as possible. But in general, it'll be about 3 months before the upgrade. And we'll also have other timelines to hit before that if there's some like really major features and large specs to review, things like that. So yeah.
Thanks, Jason. I want to call upon Mark maybe to give his thoughts on how the process is going so far and ideas for improving it in the future.
Oh, ideas for improving the process. Yeah, so I've been helping out with the Schnorr signatures. So I've just, my experience has been, I saw this feature that I saw, and I thought, okay, somebody has to work on this. So I started to work on it, and as I worked on it, I started to see more and more potential. So sending all these patches to Bitcoin ABC. And yeah, I guess I'm quite happy actually that there's a February 15th cutoff date, exactly for the reason that Jason said. That's perfectly understandable. So yeah, I would just like to say to other people who want to help out with development that you don't have to be scared to help out with this sort of thing. Just try to get it started early, and be patient, because it can take a while to get your patches into Bitcoin ABC, I'll say.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Amaury, I'd like to get your take on how things are going, the process so far, and any ideas you have for improving in the future.
I don't know, probably starting earlier, because effectively anything that touches consensus is, very tricky and needs to be absolutely correct, which makes for usually long review cycles with a lot of, detail to take care of and a lot of tests to make sure every single case is covered. So that tends to take some time, and that's not something that is usually, that's something that is not easy to do in a hurry, I'd say, and it's not desirable either. So if people want something to happen that did not happen in that upgrade, I would, suggest to get started now.
What is the timeline for the next upgrade after this?
So the upgrade is going to happen in November, which means the freeze date is going to be somewhere in August.
Okay.
If I get my calculation right.
Well, it would be great to have a firm date on that so that we have we know
it's 3 months, 3 months before the freeze date. So it's going to be in August.
Okay, that's good.
So, I mean, the freeze date is 3 months before the upgrade date.
Right.
It's going to be in August.
Okay.
Well, that would be August 15th to be exact, if you want an exact date.
All right, thank you, Antony. That's appreciated. For those wanting to see something in the next upgrade, then tomorrow is the day to start work on things for the November upgrade. Is that correct?
Today.
Today. Oh, why wait till tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, thank you. I have noticed that there's a lot more participation from people in the ecosystem on this upgrade, and I guess we're looking for, or you guys are looking for more people to participate, as Mark has mentioned. But maybe, Antony, you could give us a little bit of your impression of lessons that are learned and the areas of improvement coming forward.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I guess I'll kind of reiterate a little bit what people said. But yeah, I think it's interesting if you look at the two features that are going into this upgrade. They're both by people who are fairly new, are pretty much new to Bitcoin ABC development, at least. Like Mark's been doing lots of Bitcoin Cash stuff, but I think this is the first time he got really into Bitcoin ABC itself. And Florian showed up. So I think these are both great examples of like, I call it the do-ocracy. Like, if you want, like, people just do stuff. So that's kind of our governance system, I guess. So if, like, you know, when people are, I noticed after the last meeting, some people complaining on Reddit about certain things that weren't happening. And there's lots of stuff, you know, that people want to happen. And sometimes things don't happen. It's not that people are opposed to it. It's just there's other priorities. And if someone really wants to do something, maybe other people are just working on other things that they feel are important. So the people who really, like Florian, really wanted to get the Segwit thing working. I don't know if he has coins that are stuck there or something. Maybe that's part of the reason. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I think that's great. And so yeah, I guess for areas of improvement, yeah, like I agree that the timeline is just doing stuff earlier is better, because it always seems like a rush. So things like the even things like the 25 transaction limit that I think that was brought up a couple of meetings ago. Like that's something that should be, you know, people should start working on it early, because it shouldn't really be a rush to the finish to try to meet a specific deadline. Like the idea is just to be, you know, ready well in advance so that you're not scrambling at the last second, and that people, businesses, and the rest of the ecosystem can, you know, be ready and have lots of time to update their software and just check things out to make sure it all works.
That's a great segue into talking with one of the people from industry here. Matias, do you have some thoughts on this process and how it's going?
No, I just wanted to say I'm really happy about this. It seems that we are evolving as a team and growing up to match the industry needs. So as you know, there's changes and manage multiple coins, and it's very difficult to keep up with everyone. So if you give them more time and fix a timeline, it's much easier to plan for everyone. So great job. That's it.
Right. Thank you very much, Matias. I think BitPay has been a great contributor to the process as well. So thank you for that. Andrea, do you want to have some comments on the lessons learned and areas of improvement?
Yeah, well, not much to add, but starting earlier seems to be the key here. If you want to have something merged, start working on it as soon as you can. Otherwise, you can't expect others to do your work for you.
Okay. That's great. Thank you, Andrea. And thank you from your position with Bitcoin Unlimited as well. Do we have any further comments on this part? We move on to the final item, which is the testing. I think we'll go right to testing then. So I'm going to read the agenda item because it's fairly lengthy, and then I'll let you guys come through and chat about it. So the testing plan for the upgrade. Once the implementation of the upgrade is ready, we will want to prepare an upgrade testnet so that people can test out the upgrade features. In the past, BitPrim supplied most of the infrastructure for this, but it would be nice to get more involvement and redundancy. And some items to consider are setting up a common source of shared information. In the past, shared Google Doc was used. Perhaps the bitcoincash.org GitHub would be a more suitable place for this. Would one of the pre-existing work groups be a good place for communication? These are somebody's notes. I think they're Antony's notes, but I think maybe we'll just get Antony to start talking a little bit about the testing part and go from there.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of wrote this down. Basically, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
yeah.
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, I guess I just started thinking about this a couple days ago. So, yeah, in the past, like I just wanted to try to get a bit more organization around the upgrade testnet so that people can run a testnet node and try out the features. So I guess what's happened so far is that I've talked with Imaginary Username who was keen to run a node. So he can run a node on the testnet and do some mining, or set up a bit of a mining facility so even people could use it as a pool. So yeah, I just basically wanted to raise the topic and try to coordinate it slightly. I guess the main thing was just to start, we need some kind of shared source of information and method of communication. So I was just going to put something up on GitHub somewhere, I guess. And we just need basically information so people can connect to the correct nodes and set their parameters correctly to connect to the testnet. And I also wanted to just encourage others, like, it's too bad Emil's not here today. Like, we need to figure out, it would be good to get a couple block explorers set up, for example. So if there's people who run block explorers, it'd be nice if they could maybe spin up something for this. It'd be nice to have a faucet for coins so people can play around on there, and a bunch of stuff like that. So I guess I just was looking for if anyone had feedback on, if you have some opinions on like maybe I'll just start up a new work group, I guess. And I just kind of randomly or arbitrarily chose a parameter for the activation time. So if anyone has any feedback for me, that would be great. If not, I'll just kind of keep moving forward in the absence of corrective feedback.
So just so people are aware, it's a nice long number, but we'll copy that and put it into the...
I guess if anyone objects to that timestamp, it's the Thursday. It's in 2 weeks from today, basically.
Okay.
So
2 weeks from today. Okay, so that's great.
Timestamp, it starts with 155123. So it's easy to remember. And then I think there's 7 zeros after it.
All right. Well, when we do the video preparations, we'll make sure that's made clear to people. I guess the other part of this is making sure that people can contact you easily. I have heard rumblings in the past that, the people that are working on Bitcoin Cash are not accessible, which I find odd, but I think it's maybe sometimes easier to provide either an email or a Telegram account. So those of you that are going to be working on this testnet, with your permission, I'll put up contact information when this video goes live. So if anybody has an objection to that, let me know. I do think that the testnet side of things is going to be extremely important, not just for this upgrade, but down the road. So, and I see that the details of this have been put in the chat. So as I said, we'll put that forward. Can we get some feedback from the rest of you on the testnet idea?
Well, yeah, the idea is great. I'll be looking to contribute some resources to this as well. I want to set up a node running on testnet and maybe even a mining pool. But I want to involve some other people. I want to talk to J2 and other people that have been involved in the testnet in the past.
Right.
But yeah, I think everyone should kind of just come together and add whatever resources they can. And hopefully we'll have a nice testnet running just like we did for the last upgrade.
Right. Anyone else speak to this?
I just want to say one thing, which is, Antony mentioned imaginary username will probably be helping out. And one great thing there is he has a lot of experience setting up infrastructure like block explorers and Electrum servers recently. So yeah, hopefully we'll have an Electrum server running on the testnet, and then people can hook in with their Electron cache, for example, mess around there. That'll be nice. I'll be probably trying to get Schnorr signatures implemented in at least a fork of Electron cache, just so you can play around with those easily. And yeah.
All right, that's great. Anyone else want to speak to this right now? And I'll probably single out Andrea again. I know that there's Andrea, in the past you do a lot of resource related work on behalf of Bitcoin Unlimited. Does the testnet seem like a good step forward for what you want to do as well?
Sure, I will be glad to help setting up a server to attach to the testnet, and then yeah, see
Excellent.
what other things people want to me to do. So if I have the resources, why not?
That's great, Andrea. Thank you so much for that. So nice to see a lot of cross-pollination on Bitcoin Cash from different groups. And I know that that's very much appreciated by all the people that are working on Bitcoin Cash right now. A lot of good stuff going on in the news about Bitcoin Cash right now as well. So I want to give, that's basically the last item in our agenda for today. Does anybody else have any final comments, or are there any questions for attendees right now? If you have any questions, just click on the Q&A box and get them in. But anybody else want to say anything before we wrap up? Yes, that's it.
Yes. So we are working on a reusable address schema for Bitcoin Cash based on stealth address and BIP47, and we have put together a group to discuss that. The discussion is already going on, so if anyone is watching this and want to join the group, I will post the link to the group, the Telegram group, on the comments.
Oh, that's excellent. Anybody else want to comment on Matias's invitation?
Not really. Just to say that that's great. Will it be compatible? Like if you have a BIP47 address, will it work with that? Or do you know yet?
Probably not, but we don't know yet.
So some ongoing work and experimentation to see where the parameters lie.
Yeah.
All right. And
I just have a quick question. Maybe just you could speak for a second about that. So why is it, do you think, that BIP47 didn't see adoption, and what can we do about that?
So it seems that the main problem is the how that is too difficult to implement in wallets. I have implemented the protocol BIP47 myself for Copay, and also Stell address, the Peter Todd version of it. And it's much easier for the wallet to maintain Stell address receiving wallets. So because for BIP47 you need to continue scan the blockchain for each notification transaction forever, and that seems to be a major problem. We have a helper for our wallet for the blockchains, but I think this problem is not only for this type of wallet, but also for SPV wallets. So it seems that stealth address, since each transaction is kind of contained on a single transaction, it's simple to manage.
Good. Sounds good, yeah.
There is also, it kind of loop backs to what Matias is doing, but BIP47 is very hard to scale because every time you receive a notification, now you have a new derivation path that you need to observe on the blockchain to see if you receive payments there. And so if there is n people that pay you, you end up with n series of addresses to monitor. And so, you know, it becomes much more difficult to scale.
Mm-hmm.
There is also a reason that this applies to us because we put a lot of importance in multi-sig wallets, and BIP47 is now compatible with multi-sig wallets. So that was the no-go when we started implementing it. And Stealth address, at least on the Peter Todd version, do support multi-sig. So that's much better for us. Maybe with Schnorr, all this is obsolete, but at least for now, with the current multi-sig schema, it seems that Stealth address is better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's been a short meeting, and thank you for participating in the Bitcoin Cash Developers Group. We look forward to having more people involved as things progress forward, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Hello. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again.